Hi everybody, this is Kyle with KayDbait. I haven't made a video in a very long time. That's mostly due to life stuff. I've been kind of moving around a lot, but finally got settled, had my own apartment, got the internet a few days ago, and I've been getting really political lately, to the dismay of a lot of the people I've been talking to, and some people really enjoy it. Some people would Politics is not something to discuss with them. It's personal choice, usually, preference. But what I wanted to say is I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, reading a lot of articles. I've been studying to be a judge. I will be running or trying to be appointed as a judge in probably 2 years. It's not anytime soon. There's a lot I need to learn. There's a lot I need to look into. But the reason I'm looking into politics, the reason I've explained this, why I want to be a political person, is I want to change the world. I want to help people. I want to make the world the place it could be. The potential of the world is so high. Every individual person has the potential, as long as they have arms and legs and can walk around, they have the potential to change the world. And everyone does in their own way. But what I want is to actively try and do everything I can with my life, without any of the limitations. I have fear. Everyone has some kind of limitation that they put on themselves. Either it's doubt, fear. They don't strive for something. It could be laziness, or it could just be that you're happy where you are and you don't really have the motivation. And that's fine too. But with me, I want to do stuff. I haven't done anything with my life. I've made a few YouTube videos. I've talked to people. I want to do more. I want to do a lot more. And I feel that if I work really hard, I'm naturally inclined to being articulate. I'm naturally inclined to be argumentative, not in a detrimental way, in a way that explains. Arguments. I actually had an argument about what arguments were. This person, they would not look up the word. I told them that I wanted to make an argument, that I wanted to make a point, and that my argument was these points. And I was giving them points, and then they got mad at me. They're saying, "Why are you arguing? We were just talking. Why are you arguing?" It's like, no, I'm making an argument. And we talked about it for over an hour before they pulled out their phone, which I said, at the very beginning, just look it up. I'm not using the word wrong, and I explained to them how I was using the word. They didn't like that. So I had them look it up. It's like, its points in a discussion can be used as an argument. That is my argument in this discussion or debate. This is the point I'm making. So I do that. I make arguments, and that means I am argumentative. But I don't do it to destroy. Arguments are really bad most of the time, because generally they're due to trying to win. They're an actual fight. An argument it's synonymous with fight. When a debate is informative, you are trying to inform, and it's usually not the other person, it's the third party. It's the people watching the debate. When two people argue on a point with each other and no one else is there, that is different than when you are arguing with each other for a third party, or the entire world, as most are. Political debates. That is opinion, fact, statistics, and spin. Because the way I see spin is very different than the way most people see spin. I was telling this to somebody else. I was having a debate with them, I think it was yesterday, about the values of ideology, of our ideologies. They considered themselves a realist. At first, I was misunderstanding what a realist was. I was thinking that it was somebody that uses reason, that uses logic, and who basically they see the world as the way it is. And that's what I said. And they said, no, no, no. We see the world, and they explained it in a way that sounded exactly like I had said. But then they said I was putting them in with, how did they word it? They said I was a rational thinker as opposed to a realist, where they go hand in hand. You must be a rational thinker to be a realist. They thought I was only saying they were a logical thinker, and I thought that was a little odd. But I was probably not explaining myself very well, because you get into something and you say something and it's not as clear as it should be. I always step back, and if I feel that I didn't explain myself properly, I step back, I reiterate, I try to explain it in a different way so people can understand. And he understood, and he didn't agree, and we disagreed, and that happens. That's a way of life, really. But the reason I was saying all this is because when we disagreed, I mentioned that our ideologies, mine and his, were very similar in that I'm not a realist. I'm an optimist. I've always said I am an optimist. He felt I was being whimsical. I was being illogical in my assumption of miracles. His definition of miracle is something so unlikely that it should not be counted on. And that's a fair assumption. A miracle should not be counted on. And I agreed with him. But the argument we were making was about personal reform from previous crimes. He believed, and this was why we were talking, that somebody should be judged based off of their past actions because it is the direct reflection of what they will probably do in the future. And again, that is a logical, reasonable thing to say and to believe. What I said was, I gave him I tried to pin down exactly what he was trying to say, because it wasn't just about that. It stemmed from a lot of other things. We were talking about punishments. We were talking about prison, jail, capital punishment. He believes that somebody who is to protect other people, you are justified in killing. And I said, okay, that is something you can believe. I would protect somebody personally. I would protect somebody if they were being harmed. And if that required killing, then I wouldn't try. I would try my best not to kill somebody. But if it was necessary, or if it was an accident by trying to protect somebody, I would obviously admit to doing it. I would face whatever punishment I was given by the law, and I would feel guilt. I wouldn't ever reject society or my own morals. But what I argued was, and what he argued were very similar. He said that we should kill if it is for the benefit of the majority, which is sometimes only one other person. Which is, if one person is actively trying to kill another, and the reason is not for the betterment of, let's say, killing Hitler. If they were just killing Susan or Joe, then that's selfish. It's not for the benefit of everybody, probably. So you stop them. And if you have to kill them to stop them, you are justified. And I agreed with that. If they are actively trying to kill someone, yeah. I'm not condoning the behavior. I'm just saying that it's reasonable. Personally, it's situational every time, so I can't say, because there's always factors. There's always factors. But here's where we diverge just a little bit, just the tiniest bit, is he said that if somebody was killing people, like, say he gave them a track record. He said they every time they got out of prison or every time they were given the opportunity, they killed somebody. I was like, okay, that's the setup. That's what he said. He said, kill him. Given the option of let them kill again, or give them the opportunity to kill again, or kill them. He said kill them. What I said was the option, the potentiality of him changing his ways is a factor, and he agreed it was a factor. It was a variable that could happen, but he called it a miracle if it were to happen. It's a Scrooge McDuck, or not Scrooge, just Scrooge. I don't know. I've been reading Cracked articles. They talk about the ducks a lot, but anyway, it's a Scrooge moment where somebody who lived their entire life in a certain way suddenly changes, and you can't rely on that. You can't expect that. And I agreed. I told him, I don't expect them to, but I'm giving them the opportunity to. And he felt that since it was so unlikely, it would be more damaging to give them the opportunity because it puts people at risk or costs, money for reform and whatnot. And just it was a pure risk factor, but those were variables that we threw around. Costs money to incarcerate people. It costs money to protect people. It costs money to what's the word? Just to watch them, observe them. So that was thrown around, but it was mostly about human life. Do you kill them to prevent them from killing? We both said yes. You kill them to prevent others from killing. That's what capital punishment is, generally. Well, not specifically, but that's what a lot of people say. What was it? So what we disagreed on was the value of that variable. Sorry, I had a weird lunch. Let's see. The value of the variables is where we diverged. He was a realist. I am an optimist that is also very, very close to a realist. I believe that the value of potentiality of redemption, pretty much, is so important that it should be considered more. And that's where we diverged. He valued it around, I told him this, you're valuing the fact that the variable at a 3, I'm valuing it at a 10. So, it's arbitrary, but he just didn't think it was, it's a miracle. If it happened, miracles happen, he believes that they're, random chance or outside influence that you can't rely on, obviously. I believed that people can change. People can change. He agreed. But it's important. It's more important than he valued. That was the difference. Our ideologies were so similar, yet we disagreed on that value of that one variable. And there's other things. But that one variable was in that argument, and it was pretty much the main thing we were arguing about. And I use the word argument, debating about. And he was getting upset, I was getting sleepy, and we had to cut it short. It was like midnight or whatever. But it was a good way of understanding how similar two people can be, how infinitely common-minded you can be on a certain subject. Oh yeah, I'm married. I should have said that, but I'll talk about that later. We were so similar, and the argument was about this one tiny thing, arguing semantics, I guess. It's the value of a factor when it's based off of an ideology which is based off of our entire lives. So at no point are you going to find two people with the exact same ideologies and everything. You'll find people with very similar ideologies, or where the variables aren't factors in the particular issue, or where the factors just aren't important, or at least yours is a 2, mine's a 3. It's not that big a deal. You can still agree to disagree. And we did eventually. We agreed to disagree because, you know, it wasn't that important. We're not going to be in that situation. If we were in that situation, we'd probably argue it to death, but we're not. So we're going to move on, talk about other things. So I'm so into that kind of conversation. I want to have these political discussions. I want to be able to explain this stuff to everybody, not just to one person, not just to 5 people, thousands, millions of people. I want everyone in the world to understand that even when we disagree, even when I disagree with you, you disagree with me, we can still have this discussion. We can have this conversation about information that, whether it's opinion, fact, statistics, observations, anything, if we talk about it, if people talk about it, it's better than if you don't. Because if you don't talk about it, if you don't think about it, then you're just going to let everything happen and you're never going to figure out why it's going on. And what the heck is politics about? I mean, it's one of the most confusing, complex, impossible to understand things, but most of it is based off of stuff that people aren't even thinking about to begin with. So I have these conversations. I do this research. I look at things before I say stuff. And if I don't understand and somebody makes a valid point that I don't maybe not understand, but that I can see the reasoning behind it, and I say, well, if what they said is true, the way they came to that conclusion or the conclusion they came from it, I can see, I can understand. Then I look up that information, the viable sources, if it's a viable source, if it's relevant, if it's accurate. I mean, just having a viable source doesn't mean it's accurate. All of these things, the reason they're using it, the outcome that happens from using it, all of these factors. I mean, and that's just within a discussion. There's a million discussions constantly about everything, and they don't always overlap, but in a lot of ways, parts of it'll overlap. And then you have to figure out, well, what about the laws? What about the other people voting? What about the other people that have sway? What about the situations people are in? What about the people's backgrounds? Everything is a factor. And people like to just dismiss it and simplify. And when you do that, you start taking away from everything. You start making everything not work anymore. You make it work in your favor, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It becomes a tool instead of a machine. It's supposed to be a machine, government, that makes it so society can work better. Without government, there can be society, but generally it would be a very negative, very chaotic mess. Because society requires culture, and culture is held in line by laws. Not only laws, obviously, because criminals don't follow laws, but criminals are caused by the morally bankrupt, the morally ambiguous, the morally not destructive, but different. And a cultural upgrade, I use the term upgrade because, you know, just changing culture doesn't make it better. There is ideals, and this is one of the other things I was talking to my friend about, morality. There are ideals that are good, that are just beneficial, that are just really, really good to have. Don't kill people. Not randomly. Don't just shoot people. You know, don't, you know, give money to people that need it. Help people. Stuff like that. Those are good ideals, morals, beliefs. And when you do that stuff, when you have a culture in wherever you are in the world, wherever you are, not just in America, not just in, I don't know, England, Australia, anywhere, everywhere. Culture can be better. Our culture, human culture, can be better. We have this potential. We have this untapped, squandered ability to make everything so close to perfect that why don't we? And it's hard. I guess that's the thing. You have to change to do it, and everyone has to change. Not just one, not just 5, though it would be a good start. Everyone has to do it for it to work. If there's one socially bad person, one person that is morally ambiguous, they have the ability to destroy everything. You see it in movies all the time. The bad guy in a utopian society, and dystopian society is usually the case, because a utopia is usually not. What's that movie called? I believe it was Bruce Willis gets frozen and for 40 years, and by then crime is non-existent. The police are a joke because there's no crime. Criminals give themselves up because culturally that's just what they do. Crime is bad. And it was so messed up because that one guy at the top, that one guy wanted something that he didn't want to earn, he wanted to get. And he thought that as long as he got it, he could earn it. I don't remember the exact plot. I apologize. But he ended up bringing up a lot of morally ambiguous people that were capable of doing things like killing people, and there was no one to stop them, and the whole thing fell apart. Nothing's in a bubble. But the Earth currently is. If everyone on the planet... That was a utopia. That was an actual utopia. The only one I've ever seen on TV, in movies. The issue is that one guy messed it up. And really, he didn't mess it up. I mean, he made a bubble. He made a ripple that could almost destroy everything, but it didn't. The end of the movie was kind of vague on what happened to the government. I don't remember. Maybe it wasn't vague. Maybe I just don't remember it. But that is what I strive for. I strive for that. It's so ridiculous that they made it a comedy. It was a comedy point in that movie that the police weren't needed. There was a quote, "We're not trained for this kind of stuff. We're cops." It's a violent person. Call somebody else, not the police. We can't do anything. I want a world like that. And eventually we could actually reach that point. And it would be kind of funny to look back and say, you know what, we were screwed up. Why didn't we do this sooner? Because we couldn't. We didn't have the drive. We didn't have the knowledge of how. And I don't have it. I don't have the knowledge of how. If you clone, if one person turned into everyone in the world, like Agent Smith style, just one person became everybody, would that person, who is now everybody in the world, work? Like, would they survive? It's like, are you going to start killing everybody? Is everyone in the world just going to start killing people? That wouldn't really last very long. Now, I'm not talking about all male, female. I'm not getting into that. I'm saying morally, culturally, what kind of society would you as a person be if you were the society? Because on an individual level, you are. And the ultimate ideal, the ultimate moral, cultural, whatever you want to call it, we can achieve that on an individual level. People have done it. Gandhi, Martin Luther King. Obviously, there's other people I, for some reason, cannot remember at this moment. But there are people that have gotten to this point. I mean, they're obviously, super famous for doing this. But there are a lot of people like that. There are people that would die to save an innocent person, who would die to help somebody. not even to save somebody, to help somebody. They would be willing to risk their life in the knowledge that they might die from this, and maybe even that they will die from this. There are people that do that. There are people that do that every day. Not over and over again because they die, but there are people that actually will do that without hesitation. I want to be one of those people. And I feel that given time to think about it, I would. But I don't know if I have that snap decision ability. I don't know. If I see somebody that's about to get hit by a car, will I run at them? If I see a grenade, will I jump on it? I want to say yes. I feel if I had time to think about it, yes, I would. And I know I would because it's the right thing to do to save people. But I don't know. I can't be tested like that. Not more than once anyway. And I want to be able to at least try to be a role model, to be a person to... It's not that I want to be looked up to. It's that I want to help people. I want to help people be... I know this sounds weird and could be misinterpreted, but I want to help people be better. There are a lot of people that aren't, that are just surviving. It's not even that they're surviving for number one themselves, it's that they just don't strive for anything. And, you know, that's not bad. I mean, life... I don't know what life is about, really, for everybody. For me, life is about helping people. That's what makes me happy. For some people, that's not important to them. I mean, it's not going to be important to everybody. It's just nature. But I want to be able to do this. I want to help people. That's what drives me. So when I see this stuff, I told you I've been watching YouTube videos constantly, hours and hours. I stayed up until 5 last night, 5 in the morning, from probably 8 to 5, watching political debate on YouTube, which is a waste of an entire night because I didn't get to sleep. I slept for about 3 hours, but I think I slept from 5 to 8 or 5 to 9. I went to bed at 5 anyway. This misappropriation of talent, of ability, of status, of potential, this misappropriation of these political manipulators, spin doctors, that will turn something into something it's not for the purpose of winning. Not you, but of the people watching. Maybe they're doing it for the personal win, but probably not because of how popular they are. They probably understand the game. And it's a game. Politics is a game. You have to play to win. Which I find is sad, but true. And I will not be willing to do, but there are certain rules I can follow while not changing my behavior. Which is to say, be good to people. You know, have constituents. I mean, even if they're not voting for you, I don't know what the exact definition of supporters, I guess. Anyone can have supporters. You can be the janitor and have supporters. Because people can respect what you do, what you believe, what you strive for. And I want to be a judge. I want to be, you know, something low. I don't want, eventually maybe, but I'm not going to jump to something high that I'm not qualified for because I'm not a judge. But I want to be able to do my part, to be able to start my political career in a place that is similar to what my education is. I'm not a lawyer. I do not have lawyer training. I have 2 years plus, you know, my entire childhood of living with somebody with a mental disorder, not really a mental disorder, but it's mental retardation. My younger brother is he's a savant, but he has social problems. He has, you know, muscle control problems. So I grew up with that. I wanted to be, for probably about 5 years of, end of middle school, early high school, or just start of high school into my 2 years of college. I wanted to be a psychologist. I don't know about the years that I wanted to be a psychologist, but I really, really studied it. My entire 2 years of college was me studying psychology. I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to help people. I wanted to be able to define why people did things. And it was important to me. And I found out that I'm not a scholar. I do not have the ability mentally to, well, I probably do. I'm probably selling myself short, but I don't have the drive to sacrifice that much time to my education for that purpose. Because even if I get 12 years of college, pass the psych tests, get my certification, and then be able to start, I would not be able to. I would already be in my 30s, which, it's not that bad. I mean, I'm still young. I'm still really young, technically. But I need to start now. 12 years from now, I don't know what the world's going to be like in 12 years. I want to start helping now. And I've been not. And it's really eating away at me in a lot of ways. There was a time when I didn't have the internet. I didn't have a lot of the contact with my friends. My phone died. I was just surviving. And I realized that all I missed was talking to people, helping people. And that's what I missed. And that really upset me when I started realizing this. Because I was like, I was getting irritable and I was getting depressed, and I was like, why? It's because I stopped helping people. I stopped getting that feeling of accomplishment in my life. I mean, money. I had money and nothing else. Why am I here, I had everything I needed and nothing that I wanted. And it could be a selfish goal to do what you want, but it's not a selfish goal to want to help people. I might have selfish motivation to want that goal, but the goal itself is, individual. It's not because. So, I'm very long-winded. The reason I want to be a judge, the reason I want to be a judge, it's because I would be the third party to two people debating. I would be, well, technically I'd actually be the fourth party, because the third party should be the jury, because that's who they're really talking to. But the judge is the person that's watching the debaters, where the debaters are talking to the jury, and the jury is being overseen by, no, the two people are being overseen by me. Okay, it's an interesting way of doing it, and I like it. I have that ability as a mediator, which I have done many times between two parties. So I have that innate ability to discern when somebody is being argumentative, when somebody's leading a question, when somebody's badgering somebody, when somebody's not, arguing right. So when you see crime shows, you say, objection. What kind of objections do they have? Leading the witness. He's telling a story and having him fill in the answers, and you can't do that. That's and then no, you can't do that to a witness. A witness has to tell you. You can't tell him and have him fill in where you want. So that's one of them. You can't do that. You have to be aware of that. If you're speculating, if you're not being factual, when you as a lawyer start saying something, you say something that you're talking about how the event came to be, but then it's like a third party kind of way, and it's not fact, but you're saying it like it's a fact, and the other person's like, wait a second, that's not actually how it is. That's not what the evidence shows. You don't know that. Objection. Speculation. And the judge has to say, well, is it speculation? Is it not speculation? Is it a fair assumption based off of the facts that it actually happened? And it has to be a really, really obvious thing. It can't be vague. It's like, and then you saw the shadow of John so-and-so behind the house. And you heard his footsteps leaving the scene. It's like, that's speculative. You saw a shadow, not his shadow. Otherwise, it's subconsciously putting him at the scene to the jury. No, it's a shadow. That's what it is. People don't understand the subtlety of that sometimes. And I love pointing that stuff out. People get so mad at me for pointing out when they're being speculative, when they're being argumentative in an unfair way. People hate it when I do that because they want to be unfair. They want to win. I don't want to win. I want people to have a fair discussion. Being a judge would be perfect. Being a judge fits everything that I've wanted. I help people. I monitor fairness. That's what a judge does. I don't know if I'd want to do it for my entire life. I want to get into politics. I want to change things, not just observe, not just regulate. I want to change things. I know regulation is a type of changing, but law, political views. I want to change the world, and it's a big dream. It's a dream within a dream, pretty much, to be the president. I want to be the president, and I hope someday I will have the opportunity to try. I'm trying right now, technically, but I mean really try. I need to start working very hard, and I've been trying, and I need to try harder. So all of these, the reason I even started this video is because of the political debates. I was watching the political arguments and the religious arguments, the social arguments, the arguments that were based off of people saying things that were, not supposed to be said on TV, things like that. I was what, Bill O'Reilly, what was his name? Darn it. The Liberal Viewer. What's that guy's name? Oh, here, Colbert. Stephen Colbert. That's him. I was watching a lot of Colbert, a lot of Bill O'Reilly. That British guy, John something. I've been watching him for so long. I'm just like 50 videos. That's a lot in 2 days. But I've been watching them, and I've been trying to stay unbiased because, when somebody gives a bad argument, you can tell. You can, if you're really watching it to tell, you can say, that's not fair. And the person they're arguing with might not have time to think about it like you do. They're thinking about other things, like the debate they're having, and they're like, they don't notice, and they don't notice that somebody's being unfair to them until after the fact, and then they're kicking themselves or whatever. But these debates, when I look at them, I see myself having them. I can see me saying those things because I believe them. Both sides, not just one, both sides have valid points. Those valid points are always going to be, in those situations, valid points. It doesn't matter who said them. It doesn't matter why they said them. It doesn't matter how they said them. It matters that those particular instances, what they said was fair. And when I see them not being fair, it bugs me. It actually bothers me. And I thought it seems kind of silly that I would be bothered by these two people, pretty much having a pissy fit. A pissy? I guess that's what it's called. They're just yelling at each other. But it's almost always one side not allowing the other side to have a fair argument. They'll interrupt. They'll throw out stuff that isn't real. They'll quote things but not back it up. There's a lot of that on both sides. Both sides. And there's not just two sides either. There's all kinds of things. But when you go into politics, you say Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, whatever. It's all about fairness. The entire world is based off of fairness. Or it should be. Think about this, please. If the world is fair, and it might be ultimately, I'm not saying that at all, but on an individual basis, it's not. From my views, from my life, I have had things happen to me that when you add up what I was doing, why I was doing it, how I was doing it, and who was around me, I've had things happen to me that were not fair. I've done things that were not fair. But I've also witnessed things that were just wrong. And they didn't have to be. At no point does it have to be unfair. That's why I want to change the world. Because eventually it can be fair. And be expected to be fair. Because right now, fairness is like a gift. It's like something that you don't have to give everybody. It's something that you can't reasonably expect from a stranger. You have to CYA. And I mean, obviously, fairness can be abused because I'm fair, you're not fair. That means, you can just keep taking from me. But again, everyone has to change. I'm not saying that in like a totalitarian, everyone has to follow me. No, I don't know what's fair. Not all the time. Not in even our culture. Not even in American culture. And I'm an American. But we can learn. We can find those things that work. And just do those things. It's more than that. I know that. It's not something that you just slap onto the world and it works. It'll probably take longer than my lifetime. 10 times over. But it might not. It might be way sooner than that. It might be next generation. It might be the generation that I would be talking to that does it. Or the people I talk to might grow up and talk to other people. 2 generations. 2 generations from now. 100 years? How long has the world had a network that allowed information to reach almost every part of it? Every part of the world. The internet is so young and so untapped in potential. I will run for president, and I'm going to use the internet to help me. Maybe it sounds a bit abusive to the internet, but I respect knowledge. I respect there's a kind of fairness that comes from anonymity, but there's also a really, really bad aspect of that, where fairness kind of goes out the window because the concept of chivalry. You're not accountable for your actions. But the internet makes you accountable for your actions if you're caught. So anonymously you can say all the BS you want. But it also sometimes, and hopefully when it matters, it will say, we know what you did. We know why you did it. We know that you knew you were doing it. We're holding you accountable for what you did. It's fair. I respect that a lot. And there's a lot of messed up stuff on the internet. No denying that. But it's a powerful tool. It's a wonderful place to get information if you know how to look for the proper information. And from what I'm doing right now, talking to whoever wants to listen, anywhere in the world where there's internet and a computer and electricity and people, anywhere that has those things can see me, can listen to me if they want, can agree or disagree, can respond, can get a phone if they have one, and call me if they know how, and talk to me. And I'll talk back. You can't do that before. You couldn't do that before. Recently, you could not find somebody that easily, talk to them, yell at them, discuss things, let's go party, whatever, anything. You couldn't do that very recently. Now you can. I want what a lot of these people are doing that I've been watching, where they seem to have hundreds of videos, and I'm like, where do they have the time? They have this, it's almost a 24-hour, it's not 24-hour, but it's a very long, very, very, I want to say constant, even though it's not constant, consistent, that's the word. A consistent, what's the word? It's like a radio station where it never shuts off. It's like that, where when one person stops, another person picks it back up. They have those kinds of things. I was like, oh, that's how they do it. I want that with me and other people, obviously, because I wouldn't be able to do that. I need sleep. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to read things. Learn. But I want to run for president, to run for whatever, using the internet, talk. If what I say, if how I say it, without spinning it all over the place for stupid reasons, playing the game. I don't like that term. I like the terms used more in conjunction with being right. When you're playing a game, you're not trying to be right, you're trying to win. But when you're right, you do win. Even if you don't get the high score. You played the game simply by being right. Win or lose, that's not what matters. Becoming the president is not what I have to do to win. Helping people, that's how I win. And that's doing what is right. I hope to be, what's the word? I hope to be good for whatever I'm trying to be. I don't want it to have the power to help when somebody else is qualified to do it. If I'm not the person that should be doing it, I wouldn't try to do it. If I'm not qualified, I would step down if I had it. If somebody was more qualified, I would respect them, I would promote them. I don't see it. I see people with the potential. As I said when I first started this, the potential is squandered. They have so much talent, and they don't use it. They use it to win. To win, 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 win. And they're not doing what is right. They're abusing. They're manipulating. They're twisting to be popular, to win. That's not right. It might be a means to an end. It might be a means to have the ability to someday step up and say the things that they really want to say or do. But I don't see them doing that. I see the people who do the right thing. They get stuff too. They get a lot of cool stuff. Good things. Just by being right, not even having to play the game very much. Well, they still do, but they're not sacrificing their morals to do it. But then I see the people that are sacrificing their morals to do it, and they get the biggest, not every time, obviously, but enough to really bother me. They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be there at all. They should be a warning. I'm not going to say names. I don't know them personally. I've seen the things that they've said. I've seen, obviously, because it's in the media, it's something that they shouldn't have. But people that consistently do that, who sacrifice reason for, not even reason, they sacrifice fairness. Fairness. They sacrifice fairness to win. They cheat. That is the only way to say it. They cheat. They manipulate the masses. They manipulate public opinion. They manipulate facts. And when I say manipulate fact, I mean that they portray it in a way that changes the value of the information they're giving, which is as simple as using different words to say the same thing. There's so much I want to say. There's so much I want to do. And I hope, I don't know if it'll work, I really do hope it does, but I don't know if it will. If I just do what I've always, more so, but do what I've been doing. Make the videos. Stay consistent in my, not consistent as in dogmatic, but consistent in my fairness. Stay educated. Stay informed. If I can continue being articulate, if I can continue being, I'm not trying to be entertaining. I'm trying to be informative. In every time I've ever had a debate where people say, you're just spinning the fact. You're just spinning this and spinning it and spinning it. It's like, no, I'm clarifying. And I mean it every single time. I am not trying to tear your argument apart for the fact, to win. I'm not doing that. I'll give an example. This is really long already. It's almost an hour of me talking. There was a person, I don't remember who it was. I was talking to them. They made a point. I made a counterpoint. They made a counter to my counter. I made a counter to the first counter. Then they got confused. I got confused. Because it was like we weren't even talking about the same thing anymore. We went on a tangent about like the third thing we said. Forgot what we were talking about. Went back to the second one. Remembered what the first one was. Realized we weren't talking on the subject anymore. Went back to the second point because, even after the third one was, clarified, that didn't, I just brought up something else on the second point, which was only once removed from the topic. And at that point, people were just like, why are you doing this? We were talking about something else for an hour, and now you want to go back to something else we weren't talking about either? I was like, well, we never actually clarified the second point. We were arguing the third point that was valid towards the second point, which was clarification, to the first point. So the third point was to clarify the second point, which had multiple points, and the second point was to clarify the first one. They got so upset that I wanted to bring up more on the second points. I'm purposely being vague because I can't remember what we were talking about at all. We were jumping around. It was midnight. I do that a lot. I do it constantly. Why are you bringing this up? It's not relative. It's not important. It's not valid. It's like, well, in my argument it is. I'll get to it. It takes me a while sometimes. I try not to do that. I try to be clear and as concise and as solid. I don't want to start floating around with information that's confusing. You want to be able to just see it. And sometimes it's hard, especially in complex issues, especially with issues that have opinion, or worse off, somebody throws a statistic out that they believe, and then you don't have a way of verifying it. So you have to start talking about the validity of it, where they heard it, how long ago was it valid, was it even on the topic that you were talking about, is the topic valid, and just, so sometimes people just aren't in the mood for that, and after a few hours I'll get tired of it too, but I usually last 10 times as long as other people in this regard because it's what I do. I love it. But even I get tired because I'm sleepy. That's usually why, actually. I'm actually pretty sleepy right now. It's almost 2 in the morning. Wow. I've been talking since 1. I love being fair. You know that feeling of self-righteousness people have, or they portray? It's like, you're not better than me. You get that when somebody's acting like they're better than you. You'll say that you're not better than me. Don't be condescending. Don't look down on me. When I feel like I'm being fair, when I feel like I've accomplished something that somebody else would have failed at, say somebody makes a racist comment towards you, you could shout something back, or you could talk back, behind their back. But I don't want to do that. I see myself, being capable of doing that. And sometimes I fail. Sometimes I really do respond or just want to talk bad about somebody who's done something wrong that I feel is wrong. But when I don't do that, when I realize that person did something that hurt me morally, emotionally, they did something that hurt me, and my initial reaction was to not be offended, or to be offended but not do anything destructive with that. And I feel that some people that I know personally would have snapped and probably punched the person. And I feel that that's what I did, by not reacting negatively. That is the moral high ground. I don't feel self-righteous. I feel right. I feel fair. And it's like, a humble person won't say they're humble. They'll say they're, unworthy. I'm on the fence. I want to say I'm humble. I want to. Because I know my actions portray somebody who's humble. But I'm not. I'm egotistical. I mean, I want to change the entire world. I want to do it. I want the credit. But I would also be willing to die for somebody else to save the world. And have nobody even know that I did it. I would be willing to do that. I thought about that for a long time. I would die today if I knew that somebody else, anybody else, would be able to, either because of what I was doing or by me not getting in the way, whatever reason, I would die for this, not just randomly, but if I could, I would. I thought about that for a long time. I would. I think that's the moral high ground. To be self-sacrificing, but not in kind of it's not a martyr. It's just, it's the right thing to do. I don't know. I don't even know. Maybe it is. But when somebody says they're being a martyr, they're not. It's so confusing. It's such a weird thing. The more humble you are, the less you would say you are. But I'm just no offense. I want to save the world. I want the recognition. But that's not why I'm doing it. That never, never, ever would that be a reason why I would do something. I wouldn't give somebody $1 for them to thank me. No. It's nice to be appreciated, but it is not the reason. It's hard to even argue myself. Things I know about myself, it's hard to argue. Well, it's getting really late. I'm getting really sleepy. I don't even know if I said the stuff that I wanted to say anymore. Arguments, judge, president, morals. I guess that's everything. There's probably stuff I'm leaving out that I started to talk about and tangented away, but I don't remember. I don't want these things to run long because I want people to be able to see them. Maybe if you make something like 5,000 minutes long, you know, it's gonna be lost. People aren't gonna have the time or the ability to watch them. So I'm getting tired. I'm going to stop the video in a minute. I'm going to end this on a I'm gonna talk about you guys for a minute. Why am I doing this for you? I value you, everyone. I don't really want to say this because people tend to take this the wrong way when I say this, especially people that are my friends. I don't value myself very highly. You know, I suffer from depression. I have motivational issues sometimes. I don't value myself individually very much. That what I'm saying what I mean when I say that is that on my own, I will play video games, watch movies, and not really movies, but just anything. I would waste time. I would consume food, and I don't do anything. My worth in my life comes from helping others. And that does give me worth, I feel. But it's not really my worth. It's my contribution. That is my worth. It is my work. I want that. I want meaning in my life. I've never felt like I did before. And, you know, getting all teary-eyed and emotional, I do that. I do. I care. I do. And, you know, people find that a weakness. A lot of people will say it's an unnecessary byproduct of overvaluing something. I don't even know. Empathy. Maybe they're right. I don't know. I'm an emotional guy. I admit that. I'll never ever deny that. My worth, in my opinion of myself. Anyone can have an opinion of me, but my opinion's special when it comes to me. My worth comes from my work. If I don't work, no, just trying will do it. That I don't have to succeed. as long as I do my best. But if I'm not trying, then why am I here? That's where my mind goes when I'm depressed. And I get depressed when I'm not doing what I feel like I should be. There's a lot of people like that. Maybe they don't see it that way. Maybe they think it's something else, or maybe that's not it. I don't know. Everyone's different, but with me, that is why I work so hard when I work. Is that feeling of helping, of doing the right thing when I didn't have to. I did have to. Otherwise, why am I here? That's where my life is. That's what my life is. I want people to understand that. I want people to understand that because that is everything to me. And if I do become important, if I become a judge, if I become a politician, if I become anything, I want people to be able to know who I am. I would never lie. I wouldn't do that. This is me. I hope it's enough. So that's really it. I'm going to stop the video now and go to sleep. So you guys take care, and I hope everyone has a nice day, and I hope I can post this because it's over an hour long. I might have to cut it into pieces, but I'll post it tomorrow. I'm tired. I'm just gonna go. So peace. Bye bye.